All right, we are here at the studios still, NBC Sports California.
So late.
I know, it's
so
7:10 p.m. that East Coast start. The San Jose Sharks keep winning. They keep on bouncing back from bad defeats with high-quality wins. A 3-2 win over Washington on the road. They're in the thick of the playoff chase, Allen. This Sharks team, it seems like right now they won't be denied. I mean, this is maybe the defining point of the season until they get to the next critical point. But they open up this 4-game road trip with a big win in Washington, a team that has cup aspirations. I mean, this is a big win. I don't think it's got the drama or the storylines that some of the Sharks' other wins this year have had, but going on the road, beating Washington 3-2 to start off this road trip, it's big. It's very big.
I think it's huge. I think when you go into another team's building that was coming off an emotional win in overtime a couple days ago, they are a team that wants to go win a Stanley Cup, especially because you don't know how long Alexander Ovechkin's going to play, and so they got a little extra motivation. And the Sharks came in, and they had to come back from a 1-0 deficit that, you know, they outplayed the Caps in the most of that, but you never know once the other team who's playing maybe not to the level they want to play, when they score first, there sometimes can be a tendency to kind of look for something else in your game, but all they did was kind of continue what they've done. Ryan Horsofsky made a great coaching change and put Pavel Regenda up top to that top line. It ended up scoring 2 quick ones for that first line. And this wasn't like Macklin Celebrini. Sure, he had moments, and that tenacity on that third goal was a highlight of who he is. But he didn't really take over this game. He had a lot of shots on net, and there was times where he had a couple turnovers that he'd want back as well. But this wasn't a Macklin Celebrini game. You know what I mean? Like this was like team win that came together because Dmitry Orlov made a great play, and then Zach Ostapchuk, the fourth line, really got the scoring going. So to me, this felt like a really good team win while your top line did what they did, but everyone else was kind of there. And the second line with the new look or old look, William Eklund back on the second line, I think everyone has to feel pretty good about this win, but also it wasn't a perfect game. So now going into the Detroit Red Wings, it wasn't like, oh man, that was a perfect game. We're going to cruise into this one. I think it still gives them some opportunities that they're going to want to get better in less than 24 hours.
I think this was a Mike Greer win. I mean, Pavel Regenda, I think the natural reaction to him a few months ago was probably who from most Sharks fans. I think you look at Colin Graf, undrafted, Alex Nedeljkovic coming up with a huge performance. You go down the list of the guys who showed up in this game. Zach Ostapchuk, he was never enemy number one, but fans were like, why would they trade Fabian Zetterlund? And then they come up with this big play in this game tonight. And Dmitry Orlov didn't come to the San Jose Sharks with much fanfare. He makes a great play to get the Sharks right back into this game. I mean, these are players that are playing to the level that the Sharks hockey ops department saw them playing to. And while it's all been accelerated by the play of Macklin Celebrini over the course of the first now 46 games of this year, now we see that they have a shot. They're all ascending. What did you say? Dmitry Orlov with 22 assists now is top 20 in the league?
Top 20, tied for top 20.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I feel like it has been every guy that the Sharks have brought in are doing some good things. And yes, there's going to be stretches where every player doesn't look like the player that the hockey ops team looks at. But to have guys like Orlov, Nedeljkovic, Graf, Ostapchuk, whoever it may be, to play to a level that you look and scout and say, hey, this guy, you target this player. Yeah. Everyone targets a player for some reason. You're going after him for a reason, and you brought them in, and they're producing the way that you want them to. I think that also speaks to you start trusting the upper echelon of the tower, and then down to the Ryan Warsofsky, and then you start trusting everyone else. So I think the organization as a whole has got to feel like they got to buy in because everyone is doing their job. And now that also is allowing the Sharks to get to 24 wins and start changing the narrative around their team where maybe that rebuild is working and happening a little bit quicker than you thought, because you sent me something over the last 3 days where we had nothing to do because the Sharks didn't play for 3 days, and so we were lost with our lives. What are we going to do? But 5 years ago, if you look at what their roster was to now, it's crazy, the stark difference, and it's also crazy that there already looks like they're at the tail end of that tunnel of whatever that figurative tunnel that you're chasing to get out to go find a playoffs or go find a competitive team. In 5 years, they've kind of flipped things. And yes, you have to hit on your number 1 overall pick. You have to get that pick and hit on it. And they have. So, it wasn't tough for Mike Grier to take Macklin Celebrini, I hope, but now everything is falling into place, and then you get guys like Colin Graff, undrafted guys come in. And so, I think the front office should be mighty pleased with this one.
They're mighty pleased, but now they've put themselves in a very difficult situation to figure out this roster because it's a logjam with Will Smith coming back. Vinny Desharnais is another one we're looking at. We're talking about what they're going to do with so many players. I mean, there have been rumors about Jeff Skinner being one of the guys the Sharks would look at moving since the minute they signed him. Timothy Liljegren's been another one. His name came up in rumors last year, even after they had signed him when they got towards the deadline, and then started again early this year. So now we have to wonder what they're going to do because Pavel Regenda is playing at a ridiculously high level. Igor Chernyshov has shown himself to be an NHL player. Those are two guys right now that are playing an extremely high-level game. They stuck with Michael Misa. They're keeping him around for the remainder of the year. And I actually thought he looked good tonight. I think he had moments, he had passes. The thing about him is his pace is increasing. But back to that initial point, Al, I don't know what they're going to do because they have a logjam of players.
They're going to have to make some moves here.
So you know better than I. Skinner can't be traded
he just
till
has a no trade
131.
till 130.
Yeah. And then does Letty as well?
Yes, I believe that is as the case. But even more so, like in the immediate, it's been reported, and Ryan Warsofsky told the Sharks Audio Network that Will Smith, as long as everything went well, would be back in the lineup on Friday. That's got to sort itself out. Ty Dellandrea is not on IR right now, so maybe that's just the easy one. You put him on IR, you bring back Will Smith. But then you're going to have, Desharnais. What are you going to do there? What are you going to do with Shakir Mukhamadullin, which to me just dawned on me. Now, he hasn't played in a while, and maybe you want him to get a little more confidence because we have seen as he played the last few NHL games, hasn't played to where the team wants him to play at. Right. Maybe he's a guy who could go through. You could send him down. You don't have to put him through waivers. Where, like with Vincent Iorio, you have to put him through waivers, and you don't want to lose Iorio right now, who's probably coming off one of his best games as a San Jose Shark. He made some great defensive plays in that first period that would end up being large because it was on Ryan Leonard, the goal scorer, one of the goal scorers for the Washington Capitals. They're going to have to figure something out. And on top of that, Michael Misa is going to hit 10 games at some point. I mean, it probably won't be tomorrow against Detroit, but I don't know. He played pretty well. Maybe you're leaning towards that. It's not going to probably happen. I don't see him playing tomorrow because, in part, they have too many contracts. Right. So they have to move one out if Michael Misa gets added, and he would have to get added at the 10-game mark. So something has to go, and that doesn't also have to be an NHL guy when you're looking at the 50 roster. But, they have to do something. They literally have to do something to get Michael Misa on the active roster for the remainder of the season. So something's going to have to happen here, and I just think we can all speculate. And there's guys who you're looking at, and could they move out? Could they bring something in? But at the end of the day, they have to do something. And so I think there's going to be some roster moves in the next couple of days. And that doesn't mean I think there's going to be trades in the next couple of days, but there has to be roster moves in the next couple of days to kind of sort some of these things out.
One of the things that we talked about briefly in postgame that we didn't have time to expound upon is the fact that the Sharks are now 15 wins in 1-goal games, and there's 15-0-1 or 16-0-1? 16-0-1 when they are leading after the second period. And, I said it earlier, this is a game that a year ago the Sharks lose. I don't have any doubt in my mind that they were able to hold on to a 3-1 lead on the road against a team like Washington last year. I think that's at least an overtime loss, or at most an overtime loss, but they're not winning. And we've seen it time and again this year. They've held on to those leads in the third period. They've found ways to win, and you combine that with their ability to win these 1-goal games, that's why they're in the playoff conversation. That's why we're having fun talking about, can the Sharks acquire anyone at the deadline?
Yeah,
or before.
I think part of it is, I think their goaltending as a whole has been more consistent this season. Yes, they've had some ups and downs, but as a whole, I think it's probably been a little more consistent this year. Alex Nedeljkovic was outstanding in the third period. And then also, if you go back to that final 2 minutes or so, guys were blocking shots. Yeah. There is a commitment to blocking shots. They weren't getting through, whether it was Macklin Celebrini, Alex Wenberg took one off his hand. We know Mario Ferraro does what he does. So it was everybody blocking shots. And so, as much as there was chaos and there was energy for the Caps, the Sharks still were keeping pucks. Because I would go back if I could look. I bet they had 20-plus shot attempts in that third period. Bam, bam, bam. But yeah, I think it was just for sure something more. There's a more commitment to doing what they need to do to close out games, whether that is blocking shots, whether that is getting a clear. There was an Adam Gaudette where he could have iced it, but instead he did a little chip off the board. So they're smarter with that. Again, Adam Gaudette is a veteran player that Mike Greer brought in for situations like that, and it paid off. It doesn't always have to pay off in a goal. He made the smart play that allowed them to take more time off, tick, 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 and the Sharks hold on and get 2 big points. They ended in regulation. They're up to 51. They're sitting in the first wild card spot as we speak, and there's a lot of games going on tonight, so it could change. But, the Sharks, they're learning how to close out games and win games, and regardless of how you do it, when you do it, it's going to matter to that dressing room.
One of the things that we are looking to see is how Yaroslav Askarov bounces back, because he's not been his best self lately. Nedeljkovic had a really good performance tonight, and we've kind of seen that influence the young Russian netminder before. And so I'm curious, what do you think has been his biggest issue lately? I know that he's had trouble on the rush. I don't know. I haven't walked away with his games and been like, oh, that was terrible or anything like that, but he just hasn't looked as sharp to me. So what have you seen with Askarov?
I think I think you're concerned about the shots that are going through you at some point. And he's been in position sometimes to make saves. They just haven't happened. He also, in November, his great month, that was obviously superb.
946 save percentage.
He was making every big save, at timely times, and that hasn't happened. And then some of it is a little bit of bad luck. If you go back a couple games ago, one goes off someone's skate and goes in. Shakir Mukhamadullin did a flash screen in front of his own goalie at one point. So, not making excuses, but also when you are giving up odd man rush after odd man rush, it's going to be tough to kind of stop those. And that we talked about it on the line change a couple games ago, where Drew talked about closing the gap and being more aggressive so that you don't just have 2 free guys coming down the wings. But I think I think he's also one of those guys that if he gets rolling again, he'll figure it out. And having a guy like Nedeljkovic to push him, to have some competition there, I think that's good. And I think we forget in all this, Yaroslav Askarov is still technically a rookie. And he's still, either if he wasn't a rookie at all, he's still going through the NHL season as the starter for the very first time. There were going to be growing pains. Yeah. There was going to be things that he needed to learn on the fly. And now this kind of all sets up for, okay, what are you going to do in the offseason? Even at this point, there's still, plenty of games left to really have a sensational year here and a really solid year. But now he knows what it takes to be a starter in this league from night one. So I think that's going to be big into his offseason. I think this is all about learning, and Yaroslav Askarov has learned a lot, and I would bet on him, just like I would bet on a lot of the other prospects, because going back to your point, like Hockey Ops is doing their job, and they've got a lot of pluses when it comes to how things have turned out.
How about Colin Graff? Was that his 12th or 13th tonight? I mean, just the way that he keeps on being in the right place at the right time. That's what I continue to note about him. And I know previously people had said, he's on Macklin's wing, but I don't think it matters. That wasn't a on Macklin's wing style goal. That was him, charging to the net, being in the right place at the right time, because he sees and reads the game so well.
Yeah, he's up to 13-13, another even split.
Yeah, huge.
That wasn't he drove the net, and then for him to lift the puck as quickly as he did and just kind of a little scoop over a player in Logan Thompson, who is going to represent Team Canada, that was a great play by him. I just think it goes back to Colin Graff. We talk about it every time, and maybe next year I'll come up with a new thing to dwell on. But undrafted guys have chips on their shoulders. Right. We've seen it, with the San Jose Sharks. We've seen it all throughout their careers. I don't think that changes. And him always feeling like he's chasing or that he's being slighted in some way, even if it's not. But they just have that mentality. And again, he gets moved up with the Macklin Celebrini line, and it produces. So you can say, this is Macklin Celebrini, but on the other token, someone needs to finish.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've seen in the last couple of years, especially this year, it's been better. Guys have learned to finish a little bit. Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, obviously, in their second years helps out. But you got to finish those plays. And even if how pretty of a pass is or the setup is, you still need to have a guy to finish. And Colin Graff seemingly has that ability to finish in tight and finish plays on most chances. And most chances in the NHL is like 18%.
Yeah, he's got the best percentage on the team, I believe.
Yeah, at one point he did. I think you have to give credit to 51 as well, as much as you're going to give it to Macklin Celebrini for giving you spots. He's got to be in the right spot. He's got to finish. He's got to know what Macklin's thinking. And that goes back to something that I've heard where it's like, oh, well, you play with Macklin Celebrini. It's easy. Well, it doesn't always have to be that way. When elite players think, you have to keep up with how fast the other player is thinking and knowing what he's going to do.
And playing.
So, yeah, it's easier in a sense because you could just go find open space, but you have to play at the speed at which Macklin Celebrini's playing. And that is at warp speed at the moment. He's up. I think he played 24 minutes tonight.
Yeah, got to be close 24 because
25:07.
You got over 25.
25:07. Macklin Celebrini. That was most on the San Jose Sharks. And the second most was a defender at 20:46. The lights are back
They're lighting us back up.
So, I mean, he's 19 years old and he's going 25 minutes. He can't do that all year. And
yeah, but are you worried about it? Because I'm not. I think Macklin Celebrini is a superior athlete.
I'm not worried about it for two reasons. He's going to play in the Olympics. He's not going to play 25 minutes in the Olympics.
No.
And I don't believe the schedule. I haven't looked at the schedule, so I could be wrong. But I don't think they're as compact as this.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, there's going to be some sort of like, oh, maybe I'm tired. I don't know. He's an elite athlete. He knows what he's doing. He's taking care of his body, but it would only be natural. I don't think anybody should be surprised if there's a couple games where it's like, oh, Macklin looks a little not like himself, and then he'll probably still have a point or something. But no, I guess I'm not overall tired or worried that he's going to drain out a little bit, but I mean, he is playing a lot of minutes.
He is playing a lot of minutes. That he is indeed. Let me ask you about the fact that the San Jose Sharks are getting Will Smith back tomorrow, we think. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's Chernyshov and Smith on the wings of Celebrini? Do you think Graf stays up? What do you think they're going to do? Because they're not going to have Misa as the third-line center tomorrow, I wouldn't think. So that's – unless they play him back-to-back, they might. I mean, again, we don't know. But what do you think they do with that top line?
I don't know. I mean, Will Smith's playing with Macklin Celebrini.
Right.
That's happening.
We assume.
I mean, he is.
It would be crazy. It would be wild.
It would be wild if he's not. The question is it Graf? Is it Regenda? Or is it Chernyshov? I would think with the way today played out, it's not Chernyshov. I think it's Regenda or...
He's got to be curious, though, right? To have two guys that fast together with Will Smith who can float in space.
Chernyshov? Yeah. Well, I think down the line, I'd love for that to happen. I just think the way that tonight played out, the way that Graf played, maybe they don't do it. I don't know if they were counting on Pavel to have another 2 points and now have 8 points in 9 NHL games. So I think there's also other things at play here, where it's like the old saying, was it Mike Tyson? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mouth, yeah. The Sharks probably had a plan and had this idea of like, oh, okay, this is the roster construction, and this is the player we're going to move out. This is the player we're going to do with this. This is the line we're going to do. And then the great thing about sports, and when you're on a merit-based job, because it is, you can't just do that, because what type of message does it send to certain players like Regenda, who's having a great run here? Oh, he has 8 points in 9 games. Oh, well, that doesn't fit what we had originally planned. You can't be so stubborn that you start making moves that don't reflect what the team's doing in front of you. And so I'm curious to see what they do tomorrow. Do they run it back? Is it as easy as do they put Gaudette into the middle? Jeff Skinner goes out to the wing. Michael Misa is not there anymore for the third line. And then I don't know. Will Smith is playing with Macklin Celebrini. If that doesn't happen tomorrow, I'll be
here tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
you'll let me know. But I do think that wing is going to be interesting. And do we see the NCAA line? I know some people call it the college line, the NCAA line, the Hobie Baker line, whatever line you want to call it. But I'm interested to see how that top line plays out. Again, this is a good problem because that means someone who's been playing very well is going to be moved down in the lineup to hopefully get more offense. The other thing is to this, if Regenda's there, he starts on the third line, Ryan Warsofsky knows now that he can make that move within the game, and it's going to work out, or not always going to work out, but he knows it worked once.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it work another time? And Regenda, I think, is a player, he's a little bit older, understands the game, understands pro level, and he understands not everything's given, but he also understands that he's fighting for a job, and where that job is, he doesn't know. But any opportunity is a good opportunity for him, right? Like a couple years ago, maybe he doesn't think he's going to still be here because he's with the Ducks organization, felt like he needed a change of scenery. Justin Bailey and he switched spots, and it's worked out for both, I think, a little bit. But yeah, I think also with the Regenda, I think he's just happy to have this opportunity, and he's capitalizing on it. So if you move him down off of the night that he had, I don't know if you're going to have as much spite. Now, if you move him out back to the San Jose Barracuda because of something, I wouldn't put it past a player, just like anybody in any job. Hey, man, I just had a great performance, or, I just killed that sale, or whatever it may be. I just made money for the company, and then somehow you get taken off of a project. Like, you also have to look at these things in that context of when you're talking, career-wise. I think there would be a reason for him to object a little bit, but I don't think that's going to happen, because I just don't think you can at this moment.
No, and what is interesting to note, though, is they did come up earlier, had 2 goals in 2 games, and then he went back down. So,
those are off his skate.
Yeah, but it was different, but now he's done it consistently.
Yeah.
That's the difference, and goals matter. I mean, last year the Sharks many times were offensively lacking. They couldn't get those goals that they needed in those big games, and lo and behold, now they do. So it's all part of a pretty fun tale the Sharks are telling right now. But it's late, Alan. It's 7:31. So
oh, gosh.
we got to get home.
Draining. Dying.
Big win, man.
Good win. That's a huge win.
Yeah.
I think it's again, you have 3 more on this road trip. 9 of the next 10. That means every single game heading into the Olympic break, you're playing in a new barn. This is an important stretch. I think this is where we here have a little belief in this team because we see them night in and night out. But I think if they go 500 or just a couple games over 500, this break into the Olympics, and they're still sitting in a wild card spot, I don't know how you can be like, oh, are the San Jose Sharks for real? I think if they do this stretch, if you look at this schedule and you actually do some research on what this team is doing, and they make it through this stretch, yes, it's a big stretch, but if they make it through, they're sitting at 55 games, still in the playoff chase, and I think that is going to be huge. What would that be, 27 games left in the season? Yeah. I don't think you can be like, oh, well, I don't know. Are the Sharks going to go away at some point? They're probably not.
Alan Hoshida, NBC Sports California, host Sharks pre- and post-game live. Alan, I will see you in fewer than 24 hours.
Let's go.